The Wishlist series has made it to the end of the original trilogy, so it's time to talk about some Return of the Jedi toys. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony. You know, even though Empire Strikes Back is my adult favourite Star Wars movie, Return of the Jedi was my childhood favourite. It was always the one that I wanted to put on at any time of day, because it's just got everything that you want as a kid from a Star Wars movie. It's got all those cool aliens at the start, and all the monsters with the Rancor and the Sarlacc, Jabba the Hutt. I mean, what more do you want? And then it's got the epic confrontation between Luke and the Emperor and Vader on the second Death Star. The Battle of Endor, one of the greatest battles in all of Star Wars. It's a great movie for a kid, and I loved it as a child. It was my favourite growing up. And being as this film just turned 40 years old, it's a great time for us to sit down and talk about some Return of the Jedi figures that we would love to see come to the Black Series. So that's what we're doing today. Now, this movie just got its anniversary line, so we've seen the figures that we're getting for it, but I've still got a couple of ideas for characters from this movie that I would love to see come to the Black Series. I'm going to be sticking to my usual rules with this list as always. No HasLabs, no vehicles, we're just talking about general release figures and deluxe figures. Although I will add this little personal plea, please bring back the Rancor HasLab, please do it. I'm so mad that HasLab project failed. It was going to be a special present for me from my wife for Christmas that year, and it still hurts. Like, with the anniversary coming around, and especially with the ship dates of when it would have been going out, the Rancor not being in the Black Series still hurts. It still hurts when I go on Google in my free time to just look up Black Series pictures, and there's all the press release pictures of a figure that we never got. I know the Hasbro team has said there's a chance that we could revisit the Rancor, and I know they've also said that it's not going to be anytime soon. I wasn't on YouTube back when the Rancor project was being run, and if I had been, I would have been one of the strongest and most vocal advocates of it. I wouldn't have been one of these people who built their entire online identity around sabotaging the HasLab and have now turned round all this time later and decided, oh, actually, I would have rather liked that, that's a shame. Well, it's your fault we don't have it. But I just wanted to add that in there. I know we're not talking about HasLabs, but I just want to throw it out there that I would love for the Rancor to come back. I've said my piece, I'm moving on. So without further ado, let's get into some honourable mentions. First on the list, I would like to see General Madine come to the line. Now, originally he was on my top 5, and then he kind of dropped off when I did a little rearrange earlier this week, but I'd just like for him to come in because he's a pretty cool rebel leader character, and I've already talked in these videos about how we don't have a lot of rebel command outside of the original trilogy trio. I mean, we've got Admiral Akbar, and we've got an Andor version of Mon Mothma, but we need more of these characters. We need General Madine to come to the line, especially because his appearance, the outfit that he wears, seems to have been translated into New Republic uniform, so maybe we could see more of those characters down the line. This could be a great way to bring those in. He's an honourable mention easily. And my second honourable mention is kind of a cheat, because if I want to bend the rules, I'm going to do it. These are my videos. Literally any of the denizens of Jabba's palace that we don't already have. Talking about your 8D8 droids, your Niktos, your Weequay, your Squid Heads, your Reezies, just any of them. Just any of those guys that are lurking in the background of Jabba's palace. The Vintage Collection has such a great assortment of these background aliens, and I want to bring them to the Black Series because everyone loves a deep and dynamic Jabba's palace display. It's one of the best things you can do with your collection. So yeah, I'm cheating a little bit, but second honourable mention goes to any of the denizens of Jabba's palace. Honourable mentions out of the way, let's get into the list. Coming in at number 5, it's Mon Mothma. You knew I was going to bring Mon Mothma up again, and I know we've got a really good Mon Mothma in the line. We've got a great Genevieve O'Reilly Mon Mothma from Andor, but I want the original. I want the original Return of the Jedi Mon Mothma, because this was how we were introduced to her. It was so cool seeing her in that briefing scene and really seeing the organization behind the Rebel Alliance. She's one of the most important characters in the saga, and I'm so glad that we are finally getting seeing more exploration of her character in the recent media. You guys have all heard my arguments for why I want Mon Mothma before, because I keep bringing her up. I will take as many Mon Mothma figures as I can get, but this one is a Grail version. I really wanted them to announce that she was coming in the 40th anniversary line. I'm just putting it out there. I would love to get a Return of the Jedi Mon Mothma. And you know what? I'm gonna do it again. I keep doing this. I will take a kind of builder diorama of the Death Star 2 briefing scene. Like, give me a couple of rebel officers. Hell, re-release Admiral Akbar if you like, and chuck him in a box with a section of the holographic display, and I will buy it. I'll buy another Admiral Akbar, but I want the centerpiece of that set to be Mon Mothma with the hologram, and I'll pay whatever you want. Just give me Return of the Jedi Mon Mothma. This could be such a fantastic character, and as the original Andor Mon Mothma has proven, you don't need a ton of articulation, and she'll just look fantastic. She just stands there, and she's regal as hell, so it's an easy pick for me. Number 5 on the list goes to Mon Mothma.
The Emperor's made a critical error, and the time for our attack has come.
At number 4 is a figure that we know exists somewhere on a computer because they were going to bring him to us, but then he disappeared when the project ended. It's Malakili, the Rancor trainer. Now, admittedly, as much as I was a massive fan of the Rancor project, and I was a massive privately quiet advocate for it back before I got into this whole YouTube thing, I will admit they should have previewed this guy sooner. It should have been the original figure that came with the Rancor the whole time, and I think that maybe the project would have done a little better. But this guy is an obvious choice because he's on a computer somewhere. Someone has a render of a Black Series Malakili. We know it exists because they were going to do it. And usually that would be grounds to get barred from one of my wishlist videos. Like, I'm not going to sit here and ask for a figure that I know is coming, because it's way more fun to speculate and then be proven right over and over again. But I have a really deep history with this character. I had an old Malakili figure back when I was a kid, and the reason I had that figure is because back when I was playing Star Wars Demolition back in the day, Malakili was one of my favorite characters to play as. Just running around, sitting on a Rancor, causing absolute chaos. And I feel like that's why I love him so much. And he's on screen for such a brief amount of time, but it makes such an impact. I feel like this is such a straightforward figure to produce, and like I said, they've already kind of done all of the hard work for him. They just need to follow through. They need to follow through and release this figure, because I need Malakili in my Jabba's Palace display. I just do. I've got a vintage collection Rancor that needs his Rancor keeper. Malakili comes in at number 4. At number 3, we have Chief Chirper. I had to get an Ewok on this list just because the Ewok figures have all been so good that I want more of them, and the next obvious choice is Chief Chirper, the chief of the Endor Ewoks. I mean, why would we not go with him? At the end of the day, this is all about building out that Ewok village display and just filling it with tons and tons of Ewoks. So Chirper is a pretty obvious choice for me. If we're gonna do Ewoks, let's get their leader. Part of what I do when I'm coming up with these lists is going back and looking at the old Kenner figures and seeing, like, what are the characters that Kenner took the time to produce back in the day. And Chief Chirper came out really early in the Return of the Jedi releases, so I feel like it's a natural choice. I mean, if you compare a lot of the figures that we get in the Black Series, you can usually find their original versions in the Kenner figures. So this just makes sense to me. Let's just keep that pattern going, keep that fantastic Ewok mold in circulation, and just keep bringing me more Ewoks. It doesn't even necessarily have to be Chirper. You can do Logray, or you can do any of the others. I just want Ewoks, because they're so good. Every single Ewok figure has just been an absolute banger of a figure. And I didn't even need a ton of accessories with them, because the Ewoks have all come with so many weapons and accessories that you could kit out an entire Ewok hunting working group and never need to buy another one because they're just so packed out with weapons. Bows and arrows, clubs, little slingshots, just give me whatever. Give me a great Chief Chirper figure and I will be very, very happy. Chief Chirper comes in at number 3. At number 2, we have Nine Nub. Now, I do not understand why we don't have this character in the Black Series yet. He is so much fun. And the community has already proven time and time again that it would be such an easy figure to produce. You could just reuse some molding from the old Rose Tico figure, stick a waistcoat on him, and just do an absolutely brilliant alien head sculpt, which, as I go on and on about on this channel, the Black Series knocks out of the park every single time. It just makes so much sense to me, and I don't know why we don't already have him. This is another character that I was absolutely positive would come out in the Return of the Jedi anniversary line. And then when he didn't, I was like, strange choice. Okay, alright, we're gonna do Skiff-Guard Lando again, but we're not gonna do Nine Nub. Alright, okay, fair enough, whatever. General Lando needs his co-pilot for the Millennium Falcon. We have to get everyone's favorite Sullustan into the line, and then it introduces the Sullustan head mold to the Black Series, and it can be reused for Rebel soldiers, or just any Sullustan you want to do. It has to start with Nine Nub. This is another one of those characters that I don't even need a ton in the box for me to go and buy him. Just give the man a blaster and I will be perfectly happy to go and pick him up. Nine Nub is an easy choice for number 2. But the number 1 character that I would like to see come to the Black Series from Return of the Jedi is the Max Rebo Band. I mean, I'm cheating. Of course I'm cheating. It's Return of the Jedi and it's the Max Rebo Band. But you know what? It's my list. I'll do what I want. I want Max Rebo, I want Cy Snoodles, and I want Droopy McCool, and I want them all on my shelf. Figuring Dan and the modal nodes has really awakened a want in me for more Star Wars musicians. You know, I want that creepy lady with the robot mouth from Solo and her little singing companion head in a jar. I want the Max Rebo Band so badly. And I decided to count these guys outside of the wishlist want for Jabba's Palace denizens because they stand on their own, no problem whatsoever. This would be the easiest 3-pack purchase I ever made in my life. You could charge me $75 and up and I would go for this in a heartbeat. No questions asked. The Max Rebo Band always reminds me of just absolutely rocking out to their music while playing Battlefront 2 back in the day. The hero deathmatch on Mos Eisley. It takes me right back there every time I think about it. Trying to chase down my brother playing as Aayla Secura and I'm playing as General Grievous, and he always managed to get that dash attack off on me every single time. I just want these guys in figure form because they would absolutely complete a Jabba's Palace diorama. Just having all 3 of them up on a stage, it would just look fantastic. I'd be so happy with it. If I had to pick one that I wanted the most, it would obviously be Max himself, because I feel like we could get away with that with his little cameo appearance in Book of Boba Fett confirming that he survived the destruction of the Kentana. But honestly, I want the whole band. I want all 3 of them. And with the modal nodes hunt being so much fun that I still bring it up all this time later, I almost kind of want to recreate that. I want to go on the hunt for the Max Rebo Band. So put them in a 3-pack or package them individually and make me hunt for them. I don't care. I just want these figures on my shelf. They don't even need a ton of articulation. I think that would probably be an issue with Cy Snoodles, actually, with her legs being as thin as they are and as top-heavy as she is. You know, they would have to be pretty solid figures to even stand, but once I get them standing, they ain't gonna move anyway, so I don't think it really matters. It's probably cheating, but who cares, because I'll do what I want. It's my list. The number 1 character from Return of the Jedi that I would like to see come to the Black Series, it's the Max Rebo Band. So there you have it. That was my top 5 wishlist picks for Return of the Jedi. Let me pass this subject off to you. What are some characters from Return of the Jedi that you would love to see come to the Black Series? I know there's a ton of them out there that you want. You know you do. The Vintage Collection has so many great Return of the Jedi figures that we don't have, and it makes me jealous. Next time on the wishlist series, we're moving away from movies again because we're doing a top 5 wishlist pick for characters from the Battlefront games that I would like to see come to this line. These lists have always been kind of centered around characters from canon that I would like to see come to the line, so it's probably going to lean more heavily on Battlefront 2, being as that actually had canon material in it. But I'm gonna throw the two games together anyway, and we'll just see what we end up with. I just wanted to tag this on the end here. Ahsoka obviously started this week, and I am already having a ton of fun with it. It is everything I wanted and more, but I figured there's not really much point in me doing week by week recaps and reviews and getting my analysis out there and speculating about what I think is going to happen, because there are enough people out there doing that already. But we will be doing a full series review on October 6th when the series comes to an end. So you can look forward to that, because I'm going to have a lot to say. This show is my most anticipated Star Wars project in recent history, and I already love it. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were my top 5 Black Series wishlist picks for Return of the Jedi. You may subscribe when ready. 5 characters from Return of the Jedi. Well, it wasn't really. It wasn't really 5 characters, was it? It was a whole mess. Okay.